Welcome back to Views with Hughes, your agenda for news. This is Jerome Hughes. Before we begin with today's story, I want to let you all know that we are under a heat wave throughout the U.S. So parts of the U.S. is going to experience some extreme heat temperatures and stuff. So just want to let you all know to try your best to stay cool. If you got pets, go ahead and bring them inside. Keep them inside and make sure your little kids stay inside as well as much as possible. So let's go ahead and get right into this story. Now, we all know about the Acolyte, the big controversy with it and the backlash that it's received and everything. And everybody's wondering who is to blame for all of this, okay? People can say Leslie Headland. I mean, granted, she's the showrunner and the show creator, but at the same time, you can also blame Kathleen Kennedy for it too. But the biggest blame for all of this would have to be none other than Dave Filoni. You see, Kathleen Kennedy did hire Dave Filoni and everything to go ahead and be in the position he's in. We're going to talk more about that later. But after a huge backlash through the first few episodes of The Acolyte, many Star Wars fans found themselves asking the same question they've been asking for years. Can this really get any worse? Unfortunately, the answer is still a big yes. It can and it will. Just remember, Chris Gore himself even stated that, you know, if you like, well, maybe not just Chris Gore, but others also stated that if you think it's getting bad, it's going to get worse from here. Even the former Lucasfilm employee who goes by the name Knee Pain and stuff on YouTube stated that as well. And the Acolyte episode 4 of the Acolyte made even more people angry, and the outcry got even louder with the inclusion of Ki-Adi-Mundi, who shouldn't even be alive at this point in the timeline. Now, once again, Lucasfilm is showing that they'll do whatever they want. They don't seem to care as long as they can get a reaction out of people. And it makes you wonder, you know, who is approving all of this stuff? How do they keep getting away with it? Well, finally, some fans, a lot more fans actually, started to notice that one of the people behind all of this, not just Kathleen Kennedy, not just Leslie Headland, but Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni has supported Leslie Headland, the showrunner of The Acolyte, from the start. Dave Filoni promoted the show saying it was incredible, and it turns out Dave Filoni was one of Leslie Headland's mentors for this whole project. And Leslie Headland recently revealed how he and Dave Filoni's advice shaped the latest episode. And Leslie Headland talked about how important Dave Filoni was to the whole process, how Dave Filoni himself and even Leslie Headland were always discussing ideas, and how the inspiration from the witches in the Acolyte episode 3 came directly from Dave Filoni. Heck, you even see here from Fandom Wire that they're even placing blame on Dave Filoni with the failure of the episodes, well, the season of the Acolyte itself. All right. And basically, this is something that the people don't even want. Now, you know what's really mind-boggling here is that there's still fans out there who are desperate or delusional that try to defend Dave Filoni. And these folks always make excuses saying like, oh, well, Dave Filoni is just doing what he's told, or they try to shift blame away from Dave Filoni and stuff. But that's just not true. You see, Dave Filoni is definitely partly to blame for this mess, and it's unbelievable to me that people don't understand after everything we've seen. Now, take the Acolyte episode 4, for example. We found out even more that Dave Filoni is being involved and how he's being involved. From the writer Claudia Kyle on X, the writer of the Acolyte episode 4 made it clear that Dave Filoni gives notes on all the scripts, and Dave Filoni has to approve them along with the rest of the Lucasfilm team. And I'm talking about the creative directors under Kathleen Kennedy. Now, people have been raising all sorts of questions about the Sith Ki-Adi-Mundi's inclusion and other plot details. These questions are all over X. And I checked Claudia Kyle's account myself, but her account is not protected. And I don't want anyone to go and harass her, okay? But this is what Claudia Kyle said when someone asked did she consult Dave Filoni before writing the episode. She explained that not before writing, but after breaking the episode down, Dave Filoni gave notes on all the scripts and has to approve them along with the rest of the Lucasfilm team. So it's crystal clear that Dave Filoni is deeply involved in all of this. And it's crazy to me how that people still want to pretend that Dave Filoni is not responsible at all. You see, Dave Filoni is right there in the mix, making decisions and improving scripts. after all the questionable choices we've seen in the show, it's obvious that Dave Filoni is not just some sort of innocent bystander, all right? And it's really something how things turn out. You know, the reason we're looking at a screen at a lot of people seeing this stuff is now that maybe Dave Filoni got a bit too much flack from it, or maybe the original poster realized it wasn't the smartest thing and say that, and Claudia Kai decided to go ahead and delete it. And it's strange how all that happens, isn't it? But that's just another example, and I'm glad more people are starting to see the light, because some of us has been pointing out that Dave Filoni and his impact on Star Wars for years, while others keep coming up with excuse after excuse for Dave Filoni. Now, some people always say, you know, it can't be Dave Filoni's fault. You see, Kathleen Kennedy just must be pulling his strings, and a lot of other nonsense. And there was even a wild rumor a few years back that Dave Filoni trying to secretly overthrow Kathleen Kennedy in some sort of Lucasfilm civil war. And I reported on that as well. And I admit it, I was wrong until I started seeing life for myself. Now, anyone with a bit of common sense can't see the problem with that story. Now, since Kathleen Kennedy took charge, Dave Filoni has only climbed higher and higher up the ladder at Lucasfilm, getting promotion after promotion. And with each step up, the quality of Star Wars content has gone downhill. Why? Because Dave Filoni is working closely with Kathleen Kennedy, and they're in agreement with everything. Okay, now remember back in 2021 when the cast of The Mandalorian created Dave Filoni's promotion to executive creative director at Lucasfilm. Now, Dave Filoni had actually been at that role since 2020, but it wasn't made public until 2021. I reported on that as well, and this promotion gave Dave Filoni more authority over all the storytelling in Star Wars. And then just last year, Dave Filoni was bumped up again as Chief Creative Officer, or CCO, at Lucasfilm. And this position means that Dave Filoni oversees every single related Star Wars content. And despite this, the mess-ups keep on coming. Now, take the Acolyte, for example. There's plenty of blame to go around. Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland, and yes, even Dave Filoni too. Now, Dave Filoni was right there planning the stages of the sequel trilogy and thought it would be a brilliant idea to have the matriarchy subvert the patriarchy in Star Wars. That idea came from Dave Filoni himself. Yes, the husband of the woman who identifies as a witch. Dave Filoni, right after The Force Awakens. And Dave Filoni also played a consulting role on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Deborah Chow, who was running that show at the time, said that she turned to Dave Filoni constantly for advice on Star Wars lore and storytelling. I'm going to let y'all know right now, Dave Filoni cannot be trusted with Star Wars lore, okay? You can either talk to Jon Favreau or talk to George Lucas himself, but hey, guess what? It was revealed that even when George Lucas was being consulted and stuff for the movies, the Disney Star Wars trilogy and stuff, they didn't even take heed of his advice, all right? Now, Dave Filoni is mentoring Leslie Headland on The Acolyte, and The Acolyte is shaping up to be a disaster. Yet some fans still defend Dave Filoni, insisting that Dave Filoni is just being forced to these decisions and isn't really relying on Kathleen Kennedy, okay? But let's look at the facts. Since Kathleen Kennedy took over, Dave Filoni has received more power and more responsibility, not less. Now, the writer who deleted her post on X likely realized it could draw too much negative attention to Dave Filoni, okay? And so she decided to try to shift the blame away from Dave Filoni, and that's what Lucasfilm was doing too, and gave Dave Filoni credit instead. Now, Dave Filoni has to approve all the scripts and everything else that happens in Star Wars, okay? So if you're looking for people to blame for the current state of things, don't forget to point the finger at Dave Filoni. Because some of us have been sounding the alarm about Dave Filoni for years, but others didn't want to see it. Okay, now I'll admit it, I was one of them and stuff, because I had a lot of hope for Star Wars too. And like I said, others didn't want to hear it or were convinced that Dave Filoni would somehow save Star Wars. And the truth is, Dave Filoni is a poor storyteller who is willing to mess up any aspect of Star Wars, ignoring what was established before Disney took over and even retconning things that Disney itself published. Now, The Acolyte is turning out to be a colossal failure, and Dave Filoni is a big part of why that is. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Do you think that Dave Filoni will recover from this? Because guess what? I doubt that. And what do you think about his handling of The Acolyte? Are you surprised, or are you not so surprised? And this also got me wondering, how much does he actually have an input with the whole High Republic book series and stuff? Because if he had a lot of that, Dave Filoni cannot be trusted, period. Okay, so let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, if you enjoy what I shared in the video, go ahead, smash the like button, share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.